The second round of the Grand Prix, and just before we join the competitors in that, let's just go with Graham Barker through the scoring system for show jumping, just to refresh your memory.
It's very simple, Jim. For each obstacle knockdown, they incur 4 faults. The first refusal, 3 faults. The second refusal, 6 faults. The third refusal, elimination. If the horse or rider fall or both, 8 faults. The second fall is elimination, and for each commenced second exceeding the time allowed is a quarter of a fault.
And those penalties, of course, are cumulative over the 2 rounds, and it's a fairly tight competition here in the Grand Prix. Let's look, though, at the current World Cup standings. And when we look at this, of most interest is Vicky Roycroft.
Vicky's got her 67 points from only 5 starts, Jim, so whatever she scores today will be added to that 67.
Now out on the course, we've got to look at the clear rounds and the 4 faulters. First of all, the 4 faulters through the first round.
And a few interesting ones here too, Jim, with some of the really top contenders incurring 4 faults in the first round. Carl Brook Rebound and Colleen Brook, Mr. Shrimpton, Greg McDermott, EBA Schnaps, George Sanner, Nobby John Ledger, Buckingham, Claire Honeywell. But all the interest in the 4 horses that went clear. Guy Crichton with Stretch, French Kiss, Susan Bonleone, Tony Barlow Sorrento with John Fay in the saddle, and EBA Slinky, Rod Brown.
Now we're with the 4 faulters at the moment. There were 5 of those in the first round. This is Colleen Brook on Carl Brook Rebound, which won the Grand Prix here in 1985. And so far, she has gone clear. She's just taken a brick out of the wall, though. As soon as I said it, it happened. We'll be talking with the Olympic Games course designer in Solo, Lev Peterson, who is here to design the course for the Sydney Show Jumping Championships, as Colin gets near the end of this round, to get his opinion of the size and shape of this course. So Colin getting near the end of this second round in the Grand Prix with 4 faults.
Just 1 fence remaining, Jim, a very big spread. Water, and another one down. So that's 8 faults in the second round. And that will give Carl Brook Rebound and Colleen Brook a total of 12 after 2 rounds.
So repeating that we're looking for some double clears here, and it'll be a very tight competition with only 4 going clear in the first round. There are still 5 more to come in this seeded second round who had 4 faults. 4 more rather to come. There were 5 altogether. This is Mr. Shrimpton with Greg McDermott, a shearer from Junee, who's had numerous successes here at Wentworth Park. And Mr. Shrimpton, of course, handled by Greg Urell, Clary Ridley in the past, and now with Greg McDermott. Carrying 4 faults through into this second round.
Well, Greg and Mr. Shrimpton have had a good season this year, have been the top point scorers at 2 of the World Cup rounds, currently in equal 6th position, and a course of 10 obstacles. Nicely through the double, 2 very big spreads, a rail down at the 4th obstacle. All these fences almost up to the maximum height 1.6 metres, and spreads of up to 2 metres. Around towards the related section of the course. Fence number 7, now a double of verticals, 2 strides between each of the elements. Big spread. The final fence, vertical rails over water, requiring the horses to stretch out just a little bit. Lands nicely over the last. And he will finish with 4 jumping penalties in the second round for a grand total of 8 jumping penalties.
And we're joined by the Olympic Games course designer for Solo, Lev Peterson from West Germany, who's been here for the Sydney Show Jumping Championships. What have you tried to achieve with this course? Is this Olympic standard?
Well, I could say this is Olympic standard. I think the organizer took me over to get a bit Olympic touch over here, and this is a real big and demanding Grand Prix.
we might get you to take us around the course here with George Sunner and Equestrian Bloodstock Agency snaps out there.
So we have 10 numbers, 10 fences here. We start with the oxer, number 1 right now. Then it turns to the left, comes to a vertical, 1.50 meter high. This blue and yellow one. And then a very delicate distance to a double combination, 2 oxers, set on one really wide stride, followed by another vertical, 1.50 meter high. He takes a turn to the left, comes to this oxer, to the green one, has an enormous spread of almost 1.90 meter, and now the highest fence of the competition, the wall, 1.60 meter. Very well done. Turn to the right, a big triple bar, 2 meters wide, 1.60 meter high. The next combination, 2 verticals, set on 2 very short stride, very well done. And 2 more fences, 1 oxer. And a very, very dangerous fence, a vertical with a Liverpool underneath. He's the first clear in the second round.
George Sunner on EDA Schnaps, represented Australia at the Olympics and may do it again this year. So he negotiated the course more successfully than anyone else. He takes a total of 4 faults through, with 2 more to go in this second round of the Swan Premium Grand Prix of Australia. John Ledger with Nobby. Well, there was a time penalty there for George Sunner. Half. So he wasn't quite clear, but he certainly negotiated the fences well enough. Seems a great flow about this course that you've created.
Well, this second round is a bit shortened of the first round. And in the first round we had a triple combination. Now we have 2 double here. It is a really tough course, I think, and this is one of the biggest courses I ever have set outside.
These are far bigger, wider fences than you set here 2 years ago for the Grand Prix?
Yes, much bigger than 2 years ago. But 2 years ago, we were 2 years ahead of the Olympic Games, and now we have the Olympic year, and I think the riders should become a bit accustomed to that. That will be in Seoul at the Olympic Games.
Just 1 fence down so far for Nobby and John Ledger. Over the last and through the finish. He's under the time allowed, so 4 faults only, and a total of 8 jumping penalties. There's the fence that he had down, just didn't lift high enough. The placement seemed to be quite right, and that's where he got the 4 faults in the second round.
How many were you expecting to get through the first round clear?
Well, I thought that we would get about 6 clear in the first round and 3 to 4 in the jump-off. I'm still hopeful that we get through in the jump-off.
Well, we've got a chance of getting 4 in the jump-off, maybe more, depending what happens to them. Now, from New Zealand, Claire Honeywell, who's had a good national record in the Nations Cup team last year, and she's on board Buckingham, taking 4 faults through into this second round.
She jumped a superb first round, Jim. I really didn't expect her to go quite so well. Now, let's hope that she can take that form into this round of the competition. At this stage, our best score is a total of 4.5. There, picking up the stride nicely from the vertical round to the double. working really hard, coming into the big high wall. That's a maximum size fence, 1.6 metres, and so is the next one. A big triple bar has the maximum height and also the maximum width, 1.6 metres high, 2 metres in width. Will really have to work hard. It's got a rail down. Safely over the second part of the double. Claire has the foot out of the iron, gets it back quickly. Over the second last. And a rail down at the last as well, so Claire Honey will. And Buckingham will have 8 jumping penalties for a grand total of 12 after 2 rounds.
Let's go back and have a look at it.
Came round the corner, the approach seems okay. Takes off all right, but just didn't lift high enough.
Now we're into the interesting part of the Grand Prix, because the last 4 to go off in the second round were all clear in the first round. So we're looking for some double clears from here on. Guy Crichton, perhaps the most experienced, one of the most experienced certainly riders that we're seeing here in Sydney on board Stretch. He's been competing in Europe last year, fabulous record, and he started the competition with a clear round.
He made it look so easy too, Jim. He was the first horse out in the first round and really did it well. The horse owned in Western Australia by Liz Connell, was purchased from Chris Chugg for a reported $100,000 a couple of years back, and as the money that's being spent on horses has increased dramatically, he's now a very cheap horse.
Compared to Apache, very cheap.
That's right. Been some big money paid for horses in recent times. All the riders in this event are very gifted and talented people. They have the eye of an eagle. They can judge the horse's stride from a long way back, and they can regulate the horse's stride so they take off at the correct point in front of the fence, by having to steady back for the double. And as Olaf told us, there's 2 reasonably short strides in that double. Oh, it's down. So, 1 rail down, safely over the last. So a bit of bad luck for Guy Crichton. Has 4 faults in the second round for a total of 4, but he is the leader in the competition at this stage. So he's approaching the fence, takes off and brings it down with the hind legs, just not getting the hind legs high enough over that fence, and he finishes with a total of 4 after 2 rounds, but is the leader at this stage.
So 3 to go in the second round. Susan Bond-Leon on French Kiss, and she was most impressive in the first round when she went clear.
Well, Olaf will have to duck off back now to alter the course. Olaf, of the horses you've seen go in the second round, you happy with the course?
I'm quite pleased, and this is exactly the result I looked for. I still hope that we get a jump off, and we have 3 more to go. So please excuse me now. I have to go down and prepare everything for the jump off.
Olaf, thank you very much for joining us. Good luck in Seoul. Olaf Pedersen, who will be the Olympic Games course designer, Grand Prix there. And that's bad luck for Susan Bond-Leon and French Kiss. We may yet have a jump off for Falters.
Well, that's a possibility too, Jim. This big German-bred mare has been jumping very well over the last month or so. Susan also has improved in her riding style dramatically over the last 2 or 3 seasons. Must be one of the riders with a real chance of representing Australia in the Games in Seoul this year. Certainly is building up a good performance record, scoring well in the World Cup qualifying events. Comes into the last fence, and it's down also. But Susan has a look over the shoulder, but that one was down as well. 8 jumping penalties, plus a quarter of a time penalty, for a total of 8 1/4. Comes round the corner, measures the stride up, takes off over the first part, only just touched it. Didn't hit it all that hard, but it was enough to bring it down.
John Fay, at the age of 44, another very, very experienced competitor. Another one of the Tony Barlow team here, Tony Barlow Sorrento, who may have surprised a couple of people in going clear on this big course in the first round, and now he has his chance to take out the Grand Prix here with a clear round, because there's only John Fay followed by Rod Brown left in the event.
Well, knowing John Fay, he'll seize that opportunity, Jim Maxwell, believe me. He'll be trying just so hard. Won the Queensland Derby last year, has the record and performances on the board. Certainly can stand pressure. Back in 1964, he jumped off for the Olympic Games bronze medal, so he knows what it's all about. John using vocal encouragement, using everything he's got, giving Tony Barlow Sorrento every opportunity. He hit the brick on the wall, but it stayed in place. The height or width of the obstacle must be reduced before the 4-fault penalty is applied. Over the big triple bar. Now this double. Steadies back, has to be short, does it nicely. And this will really apply pressure to Rod Brown if he goes clear. Over the big spread. One fence to go. If he has it down, he's equal with Guy Crichton. If he jumps the clear, he's in the lead, and he has. Double clear to John Fay. Is he under the time allowed? And the crowd really enjoying double clears from John Fay.
Quarter of a time fault.
Well, 72 hundredths over the time allowed, and has incurred a quarter of a time penalty.
But he's still the leader.
But still the leader. You're quite right, Jim. Well, the pressure right on Rod Brown and EBA Slinky. He can win the Grand Prix of Australia if he can go clear in this round.
If he doesn't,
if he has a quarter of a fault, he's tied with John Fay. If he has 4 faults, he's tied for second placing with Guy Crichton. So the pressure really on Rod Brown. EBA Slinky jumped very well at the Sydney Royal last year. We'll hit a couple going through there. Wrapped about 3 out of the 5 fences jumped. Over number 6. Coming down to the final section. Pressure really on Rod Brown. Oh, he took off a long way back. Oh, into the double, under the double. My gosh, he's going to have to watch time here too as well. Right. Over number 9. The last fence coming up.
inside the time at the moment.
Only just. Oh, it's down. Oh, 4 fault, last fence. Oh, was it the pressure? Well, was it the pressure? We'll never know. He's under the time allowed. But he's got 4 faults, so equal second placing. Well, he came round the corner. The concentration, everything running, comes into it, places the horse nicely, and just didn't lift high enough. Just didn't lift high enough, and finishes with 4 faults and equal second placing.
So there's no jump off for the first time in the Grand Prix. This is the 10th time it's been run. No jump off. We'll be back in a few minutes to talk to the man who won the event, John Fay. Let's go back to Peter G in Melbourne.
Thanks, Jim Maxwell.
What a finish to that event with John Fay winning on Tony Barlow Sorrento. Let's go back and look at the round that won it.
Well, this was really a superb round from John Fay. He was under a lot of pressure. He realised that if he could go clear, that he was in there with a big, big chance. So, round over the first couple of fences. Over the vertical. Now, this was a testing one, the double. Had to lengthen stride. One stride through that double of great big parallel fences. Checks back. Gets the horse nicely balanced and under control for the very difficult vertical. Around the corner again, a lot of change of direction and also a change of the variety of fences. Really stretched over the spread. John picking him up quickly. This is the big one, maximum size. Lines it up nicely, jumps it beautifully. Round the corner. Over the big triple bar, steadies back for the double, through the double, and a superb round from John Fay. The official placings in the Swan Premium Grand Prix of Australia, Tony Barlow Sorrento and John Fay. Equal second to EBA Slinky Rod Brown and Stretch Guy Crichton.
And let's hear from the victorious combination for the Grand Prix this year, John Fay, who's had many successes, this time with Tony Barlow Sorrento. How does this rate with all the successes you've had in show jumping before?
Well, this has been one of my greatest, I suppose, the last few years, Jim. I haven't had a Grand Prix horse, and I've been looking after Tony Barlow Sorrento now for the last couple of years, and I think he's going to come and do the right things for me, and I'm really, pleased that I've got a young horse that can jump a big course like we had today. And
what's the future for Tony Barlow Sorrento?
Well, I think he's a good little horse, but I don't think he's an international horse, but I think he's a horse that, he's just one of those horses that tries his heart out. Today it's his first start since he really jumped on the Perth circuit, so he was fresh and he put everything into it today for me.
Well, it was a fantastic performance, and let's hear from now Tony Oates from Bond Brewing, who's going to present this very handsome trophy to you, John, and to Tony Barlow Sorrento. He's a bit camera shy at the moment, but Tony Oates from Bond Brewing.
Thanks very much, Jim. John, congratulations on behalf of Bond Brewing and Swan Premium. I would like you to accept this trophy. It's a great honour for me to present this to you, and a great win to you and Sorrento.
Thank you very much, Tony.
It's great.
Really appreciate this trophy.
Can you grab that as well as yours?
Very nice. Lovely.
Congratulations, John. Well done today. Pretty sticky conditions out there.
Sticky conditions, but made everybody try the best.
And another fabulous event to wrap up the Sydney Show Jumping Championships. Hope you've enjoyed the action on ABC Sport, and watch for the indoor at the end of the month.
Thanks, Jim.